likes this guy named Patrick. He's kinda pathetic, so tragic. Makes the most with the little that he has. Chasing aliens and UFOs. He lost his marbles, everyone knows. Makes the most with the little that he has. Like a paper bag, he won't last. Some say he's sensational, others say he's delusional, but most agree he fucking sucks. Some say he's not the sharpest tool, others say he's just a tool, but most agree he fucking sucks. He goddamn for sure fucking sucks. No one likes this guy named Patrick. Super pathetic, dramatic, kinda believes in magic. Magic makes the most with the little that he has. Chasing aliens and UFOs. What's next? The moon is a hoax. Well, I kinda believe in that one myself. Anyway, back to the song. Makes the most with the little that he has. Like a paper bag, he won't last, but most agree he fucking sucks. Some say he's sensational, others say he's delusional, but most agree he fucking sucks. Some say he's not the sharpest tool, others say he's just a tool, but most agree he fucking sucks. He goddamn for sure fucking sucks. I got a bombshell for you. Patrick sucks and that it sucks. I got a bombshell for you. Patrick sucks and that it sucks. I got a bombshell for you. Patrick sucks and that it sucks. I got a bombshell for you. Patrick sucks and that it sucks. I got a
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, my mic fell down, yeah. Hang on, we're already having problems. Hang on. All right, let's do a mic check, y'all. Make sure you guys can hear me okay. And if not, well, we're screwed. I'm just kidding. Yeah. How's the mic sound, y'all? How we doing with that mic? All good, all good. Okay, great, great. Excelente. What an intro. Yes, what an intro. Love that song so much. All right, so look, we're gonna, yeah, I did a live stream for the YouTube members only on Sunday to celebrate 100K. That was a lot of fun. And I wanted to do one for everybody. So we're going to celebrate the 100K and really just talk and hang out. I've got a bunch of videos to show y'all, and we'll do some live vetting as if I was making a video, essentially. So a bunch of different cool videos to show, different stuff, some, you know, older and some up-to-date new stuff that maybe you haven't seen yet. And we'll just kind of go over it all and hang out. I may have a special guest joining. I think I do, and I'll bring them up when they jump in. But no rush. We're just hanging out. No pressure. I've got mi vino blanco. It's a semi-dulce, which just means it's a semi-sweet little white wine here from Spain. So cheers. It's 9 p.m. for me here in Europe. It's 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and noon Pacific. So that means everybody can drink if you want to, or whatever you decide. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's right. or as I like to say, let's drink. That's it. There's nothing more to it. So, all right, we'll kind of let a few more people sort of jump in before I jump into this first video that I have of Eric Burlison. I've got a few clips of Eric Burlison on a recent interview he did, and it's a lot of different updates and different things that I found to be interesting. But I've got a lot of different clips we're going to go over. I got a Betty and Barney Hill clip. Some of you maybe have never seen. What else do I have? Oh, we're going to look at that Hillary Clinton clip of her talking about UFOs. I included that in my video yesterday. If you haven't seen my video from yesterday, please check that out. And yes, so look, before we jump in, I'll say, oh, first of all, shout out Somewhere in the Skies, Ryan, awesome man. He's drinking a red Tempranillo, which is beautiful grape and varietal from Spain to drink, which they actually grow it in Texas too, which is great. But real quick, shout out to Ryan from Somewhere in the Skies podcast, because I did a video on Tom DeLonge and General McCaslin and all that stuff, but I had actually checked out a live stream that he did with Tim McMillan and a couple other people. I can't remember, but they spoke about that. They did a real deep dive. I wish I had that link with me, but I'm sure you could search it if you go on YouTube and search Somewhere in the Skies podcast with McCaslin, General McCaslin, or something along those lines. Maybe just Tom DeLonge, and it'll come up. It's a great live stream. So great job, Ryan. You did really good, dude, with that. That was really, really cool. And I watched that whole thing actually, and that helped with my video. But I do want to say we're at over 100,000, y'all. We went well past it. We're at 100,650 or something like that. So it's been a lot of love lately. And I just want to say I'm eternally grateful. I've got a fire lit under me like you wouldn't believe, to just put out better content and keep this train going. And got a lot of stuff planned for this year. My documentary comes out. Got some really big interviews planned on some really big platforms, y'all, that's going to really help vet it and take us to the next level. So we got a lot of great stuff happening this year, and very excited for that. So I just want to say, I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. So I'm just going to say thank you. It's much appreciated. I don't take that stuff lightly. And I am eternally grateful for all the support. I mean that. So let's just jump into this, right? And our guest will join us here in a little bit, and let's just get this going. Okay. Oh, Jess down in the chat just put a link to Ryan's podcast, Somewhere in the Skies. Ryan's been around. He's OG. Okay, he's been around a long time. He knows what he's doing, and definitely recommend his show. It's a really, really good show. So thank you to Jess, and I see Heiser, two of our mods in the chat. I didn't tell them I was doing this live stream. I kind of just threw this together. So appreciate y'all for jumping in here and hanging out. Let's be cool, hang out. We'll do this. I'll involve the chat as well as we move along. And all right, let's see here. Okay, first clip, Dr. Eric Burlison. All right. I'm not even going to preface it. Okay. I've got a few different clips from Burlison, and I'm not even sure which one this is, but let's just start with that, and then we'll go from there.
Where I'm at right now is I've seen videos that convinced me that there's something that's probably not, there's something that is not using conventional propulsion, and is a type of technology that I've never seen before. Yeah. And that whenever these videos are being brought to you by our own federal government saying we don't know what this is, then that has me really puzzled. What leads you to believe it's either an adversary, or it is maybe it's one of our private companies that's doing some experimental stuff that we're unaware of. Or it could be something that's completely supernatural that we don't understand. But I've seen lots of videos objects, but at the end of the day, they're all blurry, right? I've seen some really interesting videos of things going at like incredible speeds over our military bases that should not be there. And that's disturbing. So even if you don't believe that this is like these are aliens or there's an alien threat or anything like that, set that aside. The fact that we have our pilots that are flying that are having near miss events with these objects, the fact that we have incursions over our military bases, violations of U.S. law, is something that we should be hyper focused on.
Yeah.
Well said, Mr. Burlison. Well said. And Eric Burlison is just signed up for re-election to run. So, we'll see how that goes for him. I wish him the best. And what do y'all think of what he just said, right? I mean, just on a baseline, I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment that there's things flying around. We don't know what it is. Let's look into it. It's really the second part of the argument where the debate happens, which is they're aliens, right? And it's an interesting concept that we label something unidentified, yet also label it aliens. How does that work exactly, right? And the best argument is, well, it can't be China, Russia, anything we have. So therefore, it must be this. Unfortunately, that's just not how science works. But either way, it's interesting. And I do agree with Eric Burlison's comments. Honestly, I agree with a lot of how he approaches the topic, to be honest with you, because he is there to push this forward and look into things, and he's willing to hear anybody out. And I like that. I don't, what better approach is there, to be honest with you, right? I think that's it. All right, guys. Let's see if Dan's ready here. I got a special guest. Dan, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. I can see you down there. What do you think? You ready? Okay. All right. I'm going to bring up Dr. Dan. You may know him on X. You may know him from, I don't know what else to say there. I thought I had something funnier.
You didn't know me as a therapist.
Yeah. I was going to list off some weird movie. And I thought, wait, I better not, just in case. I did, guys, I put Dr. Dan's X account, the link to it down below in the description. So if you're not following him on X, I recommend it. He posts a lot of great video and content and ideas and thoughts, and it's really, really good. So welcome, Dan. How we doing, brother?
Thank you, Patrick. I'm doing great. I appreciate that plug, and I love contributing to the space and learning from others, and I make these kind of short form videos where I'm editing a bunch of videos together to tell a story, and usually with some thesis in mind, leaning more to the believer end, but also not afraid to have that skeptical side of my brain challenge me, which is why I love your show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, for sure. I've seen you push back on quite a few things on the account. I think it's reasonable. I think it's fair. I think it's normal. I think it's how a lot of people approach this. So yeah, you know how I feel about you and what you do. So did you get a chance to hear that?
And your
Dr.
great line
Eric?
is that we're
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying that your great line is that we're all we're all skeptics unless we believe everything we hear. It's a classic line, and I've quoted you on that.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, I say a lot of awesome things,
Yeah,
Dan.
but no, actually, I haven't. Yeah, you do say a lot of. I haven't
Okay.
heard the Burlison thing yet, so you're gonna have to update me.
I mean, honestly,
I know he was on a YouTube thing talking about the some craft, the largest craft in the world or something.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got to that clip yet, so we'll get to that. And I can tell we got a little bit of a delay here, so no worries. I'll make sure to pause when you come in. But I haven't played that clip that you're talking about. That's coming up. He basically, all Burlison was saying is there's things flying around. We don't know what it is, and we should look into it, essentially. I agree with that. All right, let's yeah, I can tell everyone who doesn't agree with that. But let's get to a juicier clip here. This one should excite everyone. Let's see here. If you remember, it was May last year. There was an event by an organization called the UAP Disclosure Fund in May. And it was sort of an unofficial, official sort of gathering there in DC with some representative of Congress. It's the event where Lou Elizondo showed the irrigation circles, the same event. Well, at that event, Eric Burlison was there. And there's a famous clip that's gone around in the community since then of Dr. Eric Davis talking to Eric Burlison about different species of aliens that exist and talking in a very absolute sort of matter-of-fact way about it. And Eric Burlison has now commented. Well, he's commented before, but now he got asked in the interview about it, and he left a comment. And actually, I have not even seen this clip myself, so I'm going to be reacting with everybody. And I want to give a shout out to Astral on X for some of these clips that I'm showing. That's another account you guys should be following on X as well, just for up-to-date stuff that's happening. That just like Red Panda Koala, they're constantly UAP James. These guys, they're constantly just popping this stuff out, so you can be aware of all the minutia and all the little things that are happening. But let's bring this up, and then Dan and I will chat about it here.
A meeting that we had with people like Lou Elizondo and Eric Davis, and Eric Davis said to me, and you can watch this video, he said that we've identified 4 different species of aliens, and he went on to name them. And I mean, I didn't drop my jaw, but my jaw was dropping.
I seen that interview with you. Yeah, it's one of them was the reptilian, and
right,
and yeah,
the insectilids and the Nordics, like.
Yeah.
And then the grays.
Yes, those are the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So fascinating stuff. Again, it's interesting, but what I want to, every time in these conversations, I say, all right, you said that, now prove it, right? Prove it, and I've yet to be proven. In a meeting that we had with people like Lou Elizondo.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So what are your first thoughts, Dan?
I mean, I like that Burlison is saying, now prove it. I mean, he's sort of positioning it as this is what other people expect, but I think we all expect that. I want some data, some real evidence, but I get excited quite easily when it comes to the phenomenon.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Me too, man. I'm not gonna lie, I do too. Especially, I love talking about UFOs, and that's fine, but the actual aliens themselves and the species and this and that, like that is something I indulge in. But I'm highly skeptical at the same time, and I feel like I can do both. I can indulge in it, but also be skeptical of it, just because I'm just so. How do you know that, right? Like, how do you know this stuff? It just seems so matter of fact. Like he went to school, learned it, came back, and is telling us, right? Like it just, I don't know. It just, there's a lot of facts thrown around that I'm weary of. How are they facts? But it's interesting nonetheless.
I mean, one thing that I've been forced to consider is, because I do believe in the phenomenon, I've had an experience that's provided me sufficient evidence. I feel like because of that, all right, so I know it exists, therefore I have to consider that, well, wouldn't there be more than one species? why would there only be one? If one can visit Earth, there's probably others. So when I get uncomfortable or overly skeptical and like, oh, that's crazy, there's going to be, mantises and praying mantises and grays and blues and whatever we've got, I have to challenge myself because I've already said, okay, if it exists, why wouldn't there be more than one? And so that's just our own sort of cognitive limitation, I think. And it's important to face that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Why would there only be one? But that's not what I'm skeptical about. Me personally, I'm skeptical about how you know which ones, right? But yes, I agree. Why wouldn't there be? I don't necessarily believe there's one answer to the phenomena. Just like there's different cultures and races and ethnicities on Earth. Now we all come from the same planet, but if we were to think, cosmically, it would make sense that there would be other species. And yeah, I can totally understand all of that. And I tend to agree that there would be more than one. I guess, if I'm talking probability, what are the odds that only one species out there found us and has been interacting with us this entire time versus more than one has found us and they've been interacting with us? Or maybe initially one found us, it got out in the cosmic news, the cosmic Wall Street Journal, and everyone found out about Earth, that sort of thing. Or we're just one of many types of planets like us, right, that are on the verge. We haven't reached sort of expansive space exploration. So we're just considered this low tier sort of, society. Well, we might see as, societies that still live in villages, nowadays, or, that tribes, right? Like, if you will, we're that cosmically. But yeah, I agree. There's probably more than one.
So you gave three sort of possibilities there. It's sort of like multiple different intelligences have visited, and then you gave one, maybe only one has visited, and then you're about to probably say, well, maybe no one has visited. To put you on the spot, because why not? This is a rare opportunity. Where do you kind of land with those three options? Because let's do it.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm still open to all of them. I don't know. I don't have the answer, so I don't know. I would say this: if aliens have interacted with Earth, from that point, I would branch off and say, I think there would be more than one, essentially. More than one species.
Okay.
Now,
that's a good,
is
that makes
right?
sense.
If it's the ones that people talk about, I don't know. Now, granted, I get that we add labels to the descriptions we've heard. It's not like they came. I mean, at least that's what I think. It's not like they came and said, "Yes, we're the reptilians. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Steve," or "We're the Nordics." "Hi, I'm Hans. This is Franz. We're here to pump you up." I don't know if they're designating their own, labels, or they come from the same place. They just look different.
Yeah.
Did you like that Hans and Franz reference?
I like the Hans and Franz. Yeah, it's quite naughty. Yeah. I know why I was thinking of Bruno.
Yeah.
Some of the language that you're using though made me think of when I started to get into Christianity. And this might be a red flag for some, but whatever, but maybe not. I did. And I was 27 and I was living in Ohio and I met these, I guess, evangelical Christians. It was in a grad school and there was this Navigator Christian group and they were just such nice people and really seemed to care. And okay, they were probably trying to recruit me. I didn't even think like that back then. But I went on this 6-month journey to really read the Bible and be a part of these Bible studies. And I remember thinking of my skeptical argument, right? It was like, it's a cult. I would think, well, why would only one religion be right? You know, it's probably a bunch of things. It's probably a lot of things. And I guess I heard you earlier say, you know, I feel, you know, it's not just one thing. It's probably, you know, a lot of things. Could be a lot of things. I mean, this is obviously, I think, fundamentally different. It's sort of, this is different from the religion. Religion is just, is there another intelligent species out there, and has it visited? Which is what we're all hedging. Everyone knows that it's out there. It's just, has it visited? You know, I believe that it has. I've had sufficient evidence. I think if you think from a sort of even scientific and philosophical standpoint, we'd be naive to think that it has, that they haven't visited. They haven't found a way in 1,000, 10 million, whatever the time period would be. We are, you know, one of the, I think, the youngest galaxies, or solar systems. I forget exactly, but you could, if you have that argument, it's going to be challenged and probably fall apart. That's what I've kind of encountered. But I think where we get tripped up is that we have there are such things as sleep paralysis, and that does create hallucinations and visions, and you think you're awake when you're asleep, and you see some terrifying things. Is there this cultural phenomenon where in the Western cultures are we more likely to see aliens and be abducted? Yes, it's kind of a fact. Does that mean that abductions don't exist? Not necessarily. I think, if you want my opinion, for what it's worth, there is a small percentage that probably are real. I think the vast majority are related to sleep paralysis. But so our vision of aliens and what they look like are, you know, greys and praying mantises, or, you know, whatever it is, right, out in culture. Where are we getting that from? Well, we're getting it from movies. We're getting it from our own creative consciousness. Because I mean, I think you've heard the argument that if non-human intelligence exists, it's not going to be humanoid looking. It's going to be something that we can barely imagine, or we're not even going to know how to measure or gauge that it's real. And that could be what we're seeing. That could be the orbs. Those could be probes. They could be psychological probes. They could be physical probes. They could be metaphysical probes. I mean, who knows? But something is visiting. That's my pretty much guarantee.
Sure.
I don't know. There's a lot of random thoughts.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's what we're here to talk about. Yeah, I mean, I think you added something that, you know, is a good point. Like, most people agree that there's life in the universe, and then to add on to that would be that life, therefore, some of them have conquered space exploration. So it does increase the probability that we would have been visited when you add those two together, right? It kind of takes it to another level. But at the same time, we are one planet. Like, we're not even a grain of sand on the big beach. We are smaller than that. We are, you know, comparatively, our size within the universe. So it does decrease the odds that we would be so heavily visited. But I think, you know, you also said something I kind of agree with as well, which is, I do believe in this phenomena. It's that I think there's also a lot of people that lie and bullshit in the community. And that is the problem. Like, the haystack is so big, but I do believe there's a needle. It's trying to, and that's what I try to accomplish with Vetted. Let's sift through this haystack, because I believe more people are lying than not, which makes it really hard, because people can be very genuine. You got a mix of people outright lying, but you also have a mix of people that just misinterpreted. So they're not lying. They just interpreted their experience falsely. And, you know, we have no way to know if it's real or not. And that becomes very hard. And then you start to just ask the ethical question, does any of that really matter? It's, you know, it's more of a personal journey than a societal journey. And maybe there's a little bit of both. And yeah, it's an interesting angle.
So Patrick, I've got to tell you, so one of the reasons I really got into the mental health field, I certainly had my own severe anxiety disorder when I was in my teens that made it difficult to go to school. I had my own shit, right? But a lot of it in the phenomenon was my encounter, plus seeing that the trajectory of how mental health was accepted in this world was so similar to how the story of the phenomenon NHI UFOs UAP was kind of accepted or not in the society, and that there was a lot of stigma with mental health. There still is, but nothing like 20, 30 years ago, where people used to think that depression, it's a made up phenomenon. Grief, PTSD, trauma, that doesn't exist. That's just down to willpower. Toughen up, but we now know that you wouldn't question those things. Those are real phenomena, even though we can't measure them in a quantifiable way. Like they expect us to measure NHI or the phenomenon in a quantifiable way. So I think we've got to kind of branch out into the sort of restrictions of what science is pushing us to do, which is to weigh it, to measure it, to assess its atomic structure and all the things that are unreasonable and fathomable when we don't need to for things like anxiety, depression, grief, trauma, real things that you can't really measure but are there.
Sure, that's a fair point. 100%. I totally get that.
Did you see the Matthew McConaughey thing I posted this week?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe I did.
It was this little monologue. He did this great show called True Detective. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh,
but there's this guy called, his character's Rusty Cole, and he's got all these philosophical kind of statements. But anyway, I posted one of them, which was related to time. And why I mention it now, not to deter too much, but we might not be able to fathom how they are traveling. Like, we only can imagine traveling through space or distances, but there might be a way to travel that we, like through, whether it's interdimensional and maybe even a way that we haven't even fathomed. Like we're thinking, okay, across dimensions or through space time, or there might be a way that we can't even imagine. So that's why I don't know. I think it's a good clip if you want to check it out, but it's a short one too.
Yeah,
Talks about the
totally
fourth dimension.
agree. Yeah, I totally agree with all of that actually. And yes, of course, I've seen True Detective. I'm from Texas, bro. Trust me, I've seen True Detective.
Oh yeah,
especially first season is legit. I actually interviewed the writer of that show, who wrote that show. I interviewed him on my podcast before my last
cool.
podcast, Lone Star Plate. Yeah, it fell apart for me after season 1, to be honest with you. And
season
I think
2
they're
wasn't
coming
great.
back. Yeah, I actually like season 2 over season 3. Like, I just think of but to be fair, season 1 set such a high standard that it was always being compared back to that. But regardless, we're not here to talk about True Detective, but that is a great show. And that is a great point you bring up, Dr. Dan. And I totally agree with everything you said there. Now, let's get to the clip you were mentioning earlier, Dan, and that I think a lot of people want to see, because we've all heard the story of the UFO too big to move, right? And a little backstory. Ross Coulthart famously brought it up on the Project Unity podcast, allegedly, again, a UFO that they couldn't move, and so they built a building around it. And he sort of left some clues as to where it could be. He always said it was outside the U.S. And that was basically, we got a couple other bits, but that was basically it. And he didn't want to name it. But Stephen Greer also came out with the story and did name it. He said it was in South Korea and he had no problem naming it. And actually, I've said this in a couple videos that I have made covering this story, that a very famous South Korean television show that's been on the air for like 30 years, very well known in South Korea, reached out to me. I guess it's probably been over a month now, and they wanted to do a story about that UFO too big to move in South Korea that Stephen Greer had talked about, and they wanted to interview me about it. They pulled back out of the interview afterwards and said they're still getting that story together. I don't know what's going on with it, but South Korea is on the table. And Eric Burlison's been asked about it before. He said he won't talk about where it's at because it's classified. And so there's some updates here about that. So let's take a look at this clip again from Eric Burlison talking about the UFO too big to move.
But I felt comfortable saying this, but I've heard this in a secure setting that there is an object that another country has that is a friendly country to the United States, but not exactly easy to get to, and that this object is so big that they had to build a building around it.
Yeah.
And that the building has its own cover. There are people that work there that have no idea that
Yeah.
that this is even part of this building.
I heard it's South Korea, but
I cannot
Yeah.
say. But at the end of the day, that may be, they're going to probably move everything else in every location that I go to, but that
move
one
that.
supposedly they can't move.
yeah.
But I
Can't move it. All right, Dan. What are your thoughts on this?
So I was listening to something on YouTube recently. Who was on that? It was I'll remember in a second, but they were talking about Stephen Greer, who was the first to break this story, and that Ross Coulthard initially brought it up, but couldn't share it because of confidentiality or, his reporter kind of ethical oath and stuff. But then who was that? Yeah, I guess it was Burlison that really kind of said this story is real. But then I also heard that Money Penny, who's on X, you've probably seen her, said that if you don't share where this is or what we're talking about, I'm going to share it. So there's been a lot of buzz about this story. I'm really just waiting to obviously, hear is this a real thing, or is this all hype? Or I have no idea.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are in that same position, to be honest with you. And I every time I think it is in South Korea, the story is coming from, because the way Burlison responds to that, and it's not the first time. I've seen him on a news interview with Stephen Greer, and Burlison's like, I can't name it. And then Stephen Greer's like, I can, it's in South Korea. And Burlison's like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think it is, or the rumor is there. I'm not saying it's actually there, but I think that's the same place. I think Coulthard and Greer are talking about the same place. And, just like I do on Vetted, questions come to mind immediately, which is, how could it have been hidden for so long? How big is this thing? How big a building are we talking about? And is it still an active UFO? Were there bodies inside? Right? So what type of UFO? Like what information do they have on it? Are they working on it while they build a building around it? Are they it's just there? And even if you build a building around it, it's like inside. I mean, it's like if I said, oh, we're going to build a house around a tree, right? The tree's too big, so let's build a house around it. And then you walk in, and there in the foyer is this fucking huge tree, right? Is it like something like that? Mm-hmm. Or if you go in this building, you wouldn't notice the UFO, right? Or it's over it, and the UFO is actually underneath. I don't know. Yeah. But am I happy that Burlison's going to go check it out? Absolutely. Sounds great. I'm honestly very curious to hear what he says when he comes back. Honestly, about it. I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely curious about it. So we'll have to wait and see.
Good to hear he wants to check out a number of bases in the U.S. that might hold, reverse engineered tech or flying saucers. I mean, with this one, Patrick, I am leaning on the skeptical side with it. I just feel like, is it like a museum that they've created that we just didn't know about? I'm deeply skeptical.
Yeah, I agree. I'm skeptical, but the Fox Mulder in me is like, please let this be true. This sounds like a great X-Files episode. Yeah, right? Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I'm completely skeptical.
I'm going to just switch to Wi-Fi, just so you know, Patrick. I'm switching to Wi-Fi just in case that I'm the reason for the delay. I don't think so, but let me check.
Yeah. No, I have great connection here, so I think it is coming on your end. But
okay, yeah, I'm sure you set that up. So
StreamYard's weird anyway, so don't worry. The good news is we can hear you great, and that's really all that.
Okay, good. I put it on Wi-Fi. I think
Matters.
that might improve it.
That definitely improved it. There you go. Bam. Yeah, UFO too big to move, y'all. Throw it down in the comments. Let everyone know how you think about it. It sounds like we're at a waiting period, and we'll wait and see what Burlison comes back with. This is the first time we've actually gotten information like this, because it's just been talked about a lot, but now we're actually, someone's going to check it out, and I think that is kind of cool. All right, we're going to kind of change topics here, y'all. Subjects. Well, not topics, but subjects. So where do I start? Okay, let me start with
Hi.
Bob Lazar. Okay. Most recently, there was a show, live show put on by Chris Ramsey of Area 52 and Jesse Michaels. They had one in Austin, one in Montreal, and it's called the It's Probably Nothing Tour. And at this, the one in Austin, they surprised everyone in the audience with Luigi, who's directing a new Bob Lazar documentary that's coming out, and actually Bob Lazar came out on stage. And at this event, they showed a brand new trailer for S4, which is this brand new documentary about Bob Lazar, which I've heard a lot about myself personally, in person, from Luigi, the director, when I met him at Contact in the Desert last year. Dan, I don't know if you got to talk to him at Contact last year, but I got long one-on-one conversations with him, hours, about this documentary and the associated VR experience that's supposed to come with it. And I actually got to check out a sneak preview of the VR experience at Contact last year. Well, they showed that new trailer at the It's Probably Nothing tour. And although I don't have that trailer to show because it's not out yet, but it is coming out very soon to the public, I thought we would take a look at the old trailer. So they did release a trailer for this documentary. And I want to take a look at that together and just kind of, get the juices flowing. That might not be the right term, might not be the right phrase to use right now, but just get our excitement up for this, because I feel personally, everyone feel however they want, but regardless if you believe Bob or not, it's still an exciting story, and it's still a story that I follow and am very interested in, because if it were true, it would be amazing. And I go back and forth between being, really believing the story and not believing the story. And maybe some parts of it I don't believe, but others I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Like it's such an interesting story. So let's take a look at this trailer, and then we'll just chat a little bit about Bob Lazar here.
I'm Bob Lazar. In December
Let's go. Okay, that is an exciting trailer, y'all. Yeah, that looks sick. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna be interested. And yeah, Dan, what are you thinking? What are your first thoughts here?
I've been excited for its release for a while now. I'm big into Bob Lazar. Um, Skeptical in a lot of areas of his story, but I think a part of it is true. I think it's been maybe exaggerated or tailored a little. Um, but yeah, I think it looks entertaining. I think the how they sort of replicated the real life experience that he had back then into sort of some interactive way that we can experience it is going to be great. And he's become such this cultural icon figure that it's, whether it's true or not, it's part of American history now.
Yeah, well said. I agree. Yeah, again, it's such a I've always said it's the perfect story, meaning, right, a guy gets recruited into this secret underground reverse engineering program to look into how UFOs fly, and right, like it's got just all the different pieces of a perfect UFO story. Everything you would want in it. You know, Bob's a little controversial. He's got a shady past to some extent. I don't mean shady. I guess I just mean
It kind of makes it,
controversial.
I think the whole like the brothel thing, the arrest, but you know they couldn't find his records, and I think that's just all part of the fascinating story of him.
Yeah, exactly. There's parts that are controversial that are kind of like lean into his story, and others that like his school records and this and that. Like, I agree. It's just such an interesting story, and it's one of the, you know, it's in the zeitgeist, and so many people know about it and have heard about it. I mean, his interview with Joe Rogan and Jeremy Corbell is the most watched Joe Rogan interview ever. It's probably,
Is it
I think
now?
Joe Rogan, just on YouTube, it's like 80 million views, and then when you add in like the audio only, it's like in the over 100 million people worldwide tuned into that, after Jeremy had put out his documentary. So it's clearly an international, global, you know, sort of phenomenon. Luigi's been working on this trailer for a long time. It was supposed to come. It had a couple release dates, and it got pushed back. And you know, when I talked to Luigi at Contact last year about it, I could tell the guy was very passionate about what he's doing. It's not trying to prove Bob's story in any way. It's just trying to lay out the facts and everyone decide for themselves. And but what I liked is he was just taking it seriously, and he was very passionate about it. And they put a lot of, you know, effort into this thing. And again, this accompanying VR experience. And basically what I saw was there were some shots in the trailer of the quote, the sport model in this warehouse hangar. That's essentially what I saw in the VR that I put on. I put the VR on, and I could see the sport model. Like, it looks so sick. Like, it was just like,
Cool.
oh, wow. You know, this looks amazing. And in fact, I commented it would be cool for every sort of story, or imagine a Travis Walton one. Imagine Betty and Barney Hill VR experience. Imagine, right, like all these different VR experiences where you could put yourself in the place
Right.
of these people. The Nimitz encounter. You're sitting behind David Fravor watching the Tic Tac fly around, you know, with the VR on. I mean, that would be
Yeah.
right. That would be
You're going,
sick.
you're on a walk with Patrick in Spain with his dog. Oh my God, it's gonna be crazy. You know? Well,
That would be a bad VR experience. Let me tell you right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
That
Well,
would
depends,
be
you know, depends on the
disappointing.
person. But
Yeah.
did you hear George Knapp? I mean, basically, George Knapp's position now is that I know he didn't go to these schools. I don't believe him. I kind of know he lied, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean the rest isn't true, which is
Sure.
not unreasonable. It could be someone. All right, this has been my story. How can how can I sort of go 180 on it after 30 years? But I think that's just part of, you know, the human psychology is, right. So we'll exaggerate and maybe lie and misrepresent, but it doesn't mean there aren't core truths. So I like where George Knapp has kind of landed on that. It makes rational sense, and I don't think it's unreasonable. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think it's both. I mean, I think you can consider what you're saying, but I think you can also consider, well, if he's going to lie about that, what else is he going to lie about? And what else is he going to exaggerate on? Is it the fantastical stuff? Right? Maybe he did work at this place, but he didn't see any UFO, right? He saw other stuff that looked like UFO, so he decided to change it to UFO. I think it leads to both. I don't think it proves it or disproves it one way or the other. I think just like most of Bob Lazar's story, it complicates it and it's cloudy, and I don't know what to think. But yes, that's also a reasonable position, that someone tells a true story and they exaggerate parts, but like you said, the core is the truth. You know, someone who goes fishing and comes back and says, I caught a fish, you know, this big, and it just grows. Every time they tell a story, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But they did go fishing and they did catch a fish, right?
The
So
only
I'm with
problem,
you.
though, the only problem I've just thought about, believe it or not, I've just thought about it. It's going to sound like something we've all thought about, but is why would he lie about his educational records? I don't really see, there would have to be some justifiable reason, but you know, okay, you exaggerate a resume, you might lie if you went to college or not to get a job, but he already had a job. And so he's justifying the past versus justifying the future. So I don't see any psychological reason that he would need to lie. And I've just literally thought of that, and maybe it's not that astounding, but it feels like it is a little, it doesn't make sense. Why is he lying? There's no reason to.
Sure. I mean, that's
So
a fair
that,
point.
so if I'll go, then maybe there is something concerning because of that.
Sure. But I would, you know, I'm no expert. Um, but in my life experience, I've seen people lie about all kinds of things. Things you would go, there's no reason to lie about that. Why would you lie about that? It doesn't help you, doesn't hurt. It's not, it's retroactive, or
Right.
it's for the
Right.
future,
Yeah.
or I mean, at the end of the
Or
day,
like a compulsive liar kind of thing. They just they can't help themselves.
some people just can't help themselves. Exactly. But again, there's no way to prove it one way or the other, right? In the sense that, you know, Bob also has said to Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan has mentioned this on his podcast a few different times, that Bob told him the real story of why his education records don't match up, and that there's a valid reason. And Joe says if you heard it, you'd probably be like, oh, that makes sense. But the problem is, Bob won't come out publicly and say what that is.
Yeah,
So
for
we're
that.
kind of,
Joe hasn't
you
either.
know,
He hasn't brought it up either.
yeah, we're kind of left in the dark as the public of knowing that. But again, it's, to me, it's one of these stories that, it's not that it's unprovable, but you really just got to decide for yourself. And you know, as far as that goes, you know, I don't know what more there is, but I look at it as just as a base of just entertainment, and it's a fascinating story. And you know, I can put the truth to the side for a minute, like I do with a lot of this stuff, and just kind of enjoy it. If it comes out later, it's true and it's all great, you know, absolutely. And if it doesn't, I still got to enjoy the story. It's still fascinating story. So
Yeah.
just where I see it.
Yeah, I see the whole phenomenon as 33.3% is going to be hoaxes and lies.
Burlison.
33.3% is going to be misrepresentation or misunderstanding, or, you know, I thought I saw this, but really it was that, looked like this. Another 33.3%, or maybe it's 25% for each, I don't know. But I've got
Sure.
three at least at the moment, but it's sort of like, the other is that, you know, it is real, is the third. But I think, you know, at least a third of it is going to be, you know, lies and hoaxes. I mean, there's money to be made in this field. People have been doing it for years. I was just studying and did a video on this guy the other day who spent 10 years on the circuit presenting this UFO video in the, I think it was the 60s and 70s, making money for a decade on a clearly, you know, fake video. We could tell that today, but back then he fooled everyone. And he didn't seem to care that he was doing it. And he kind of turned it into this research scientific thing. It was like, oh, I was kind of studying, you know, how society responds to, you know, the phenomenon and what their, you know, instinctual drives are towards belief. But he was just doing it as a racket.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're always gonna deal with that.
Yeah. But it does not
Um,
mean it's not real, there, or true.
sure. Well, there's the phenomenon, then there's individual stories about the phenomenon. Just because one person is disproved doesn't disprove the phenomena, right? It's just because someone calls into work and says my grandma died doesn't mean grandmas don't die, right? If they're lying about
There
it.
you go. True.
So, all right, let's. I don't know if you saw this, Dan, and let's see if a lot of people. I'm not sure yet if you've seen it. Again, I just included in my video yesterday about Tom DeLonge, but Hillary Clinton, while she was, I'm not sure exactly what the event was. If it was a deposition, I don't think it was a deposition. I don't think you call it a deposition. Just sort of an interview. I guess she was subpoenaed, and they're talking to her behind closed doors in Congress, and they filmed it. It was a private event, but then now they're making some of the footage public of Hillary Clinton answering questions. Essentially, she went in for Jeffrey Epstein. But during this, you actually hear Eric Burlison, bringing him up again, ask Hillary Clinton about UFOs and John Podesta and some of these things. So let's, I think you hear Representative Luna as well answer a little bit. So let's play that clip, and then we'll talk a little bit about that.
Burlison has a few questions for you.
So I'm going to begin with some lighthearted, different questions. And you're welcome to ignore them or if you want to, but while I have you here, I just have to ask. So when your husband was president, it was Lawrence Rockefeller had an effort to try to disclose UFOs, UAPs. When you were running for president, John Podesta publicly stated that you would disclose these files if given the chance, if you had been president. Are you pleased to see that these files may be disclosed finally?
I am pleased. As I say, I think they have to be carefully scrutinized so that no national security information is disclosed. But this is an issue of real importance to so many people, and I think whatever can be disclosed should be disclosed.
Was there a program that specifically that was referencing that you were aware of?
I was not. As you mentioned, John Podesta, who was one of my advisors, was deeply interested in the issue, and if I had been elected, I certainly would have listened to his advice.
Well, thank you for indulgence on that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Representative.
This is sort of like off subject, but didn't you all require in the latest defense authorization that the UFO information has to be? What?
They ripped it out. They killed it.
Oh, I thought that had gone through.
That was my amendment, and it got ripped out.
Oh, okay. Well, you've just, I didn't know that. So thank you for enlightening me. Okay.
Yeah, they've been killing it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you hear Luna saying they killed it. She's saying she didn't know that. So that's interesting, her comments. Some people said we would have gotten disclosure. She would have brought the file. She would have declassified the files if she had won back in 2016. Obviously, there's no way to know what would have happened. But I don't know. Her comments were supportive and interesting nonetheless. Dan, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think that they was supportive. I like that she was at least wasn't dismissing the topic, which so many people have done in the past. And yeah, I mean, I'm skeptical about these files that are coming out. I mean, they've been controlling this for 80 years. Are they really going to give us the files that we want to see? I mean, I'd love that to be the case, obviously, but I just love that people are talking about it now. You know, regular people, politicians. I mean, 30 years ago, none of this was happening. I mean, you know, you heard about this disclosure project, but mainstream people weren't watching that. Most people weren't. I mean, I wasn't aware of it. Unless you were really into the phenomenon, you might have seen it. So I just like the times that we're living in, that we're becoming more open-minded to something that is very conceptually hard for people to even fathom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. you know, the history with Hillary Clinton, Podesta, you know, it goes back a long time. And I was, again, very happy to hear her say, yeah, would love for this to come out. And I'm kind of with you on what exactly is going to come out. You know, the veracity of what comes out. They're working with Arrow has been designated to help with the release of these files, which weren't they supposed to do that already? So what will we get? I don't know. It'll at least be more than we had, but it may not be the end all like people were hoping. So, and what's the timetable? Nobody knows. I mean, we're still waiting on Arrow's second part to the historical whatever that was supposed to be released a long time ago. It took Arrow over a year to put out a tweet. They initially, I remember when Arrow got started, they tweeted out, we're going to be transparent. We're going to give you all the updates here. And then a year goes by, they had never tweeted another thing out. Like, you know, I don't know what that means, but, you know, maybe they don't have the right staff. I don't know how much of the percent, you know, it's hard to tell, you know, the outcome, the output from the organization and what's the reason the output doesn't match the expectations from people. So it's one of those, we'll have to wait and see scenarios. But she supports it.
Process. Yeah, she does. And you know what I'm hearing a lot recently, even just heard Hillary say it now, I know it's important to a lot of people, you know, and you hear Obama and Bill say that, and Donald Trump said it too. It's like, I know this is important to a lot of people. So it's sort of, and they represent the people. So they are, you know, are they making it an issue because we're all interested in it, or are they making an issue because there is something there?
Sure. Well, absolutely. Absolutely. And does that matter? You have to ask too, right? Like if the truth comes out, like whether they want it or not, or believe in it or not, does it really matter if they get the ball rolling? I think it could matter to some extent. If they're more passionate and behind it, it could speed it up, or, you know, they'd really put pressure on, hey, did you give us everything? Or if they don't really care, they might just accept what Arrow puts out, like, hey, we gave you what we have, right? Like, that's it. There's nothing to it. But it could also not. That's a fair point for sure.
It's busting down the doors at Dugway Proving Ground and different military sites around the country, which is what Burlison's trying to do, is trying to get into these actual sort of sites where I believe there is some stuff. I mean, it's not at Area 51 anymore. They took it all out of there a long time ago.
Sure.
But that's what's needed.
Well, some whistleblowers say otherwise. They think there's labs.
Stuff at Area 51 still?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's labs with aliens working in them and humans work alongside them. This is all happening in Area 51.
Which whistleblower said that?
Jason Sands. That's one. That's one in particular I can think of off the top of my head.
All right.
And going back, people had said it, right? I mean, that's S4, Bob Lazar, right, was there, Dan Burish. We had the J-Rod alien there. And then you have some of these sort of secret space program people also saying different current stuff about Area 51. But, you know, who knows, right? But then they're like, no, it's actually at Papoose Lake or S4 or this or that, or it's at, you know, Greer likes to say it's not Area 51, it's at Area 52 and Area 54. So I don't, you know, I think it might be at Area BS is if you ask me. But
I'm going to Trump hold out at CE6.
Yeah. I love it. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy they're going to go, like you said, kick down some doors, ask some questions, see what's going on. It's better than nothing. Do I think that they'd see anything? Like, if this is this huge 80-year cover-up, I just don't see a congressman showing up and show me the stuff. And they're like, oh, you got us. Here it is. You know, I just think it would be so much more covered up. And if they did show up, they wouldn't show them the UFOs and stuff. But but maybe he would go
Really
and
what I think,
get a sense that something's off, right? Like something's off here, you know, I don't know what, but something's off. So it's helpful either way.
really what I think is needed is almost like a team of sociologists and psychologists to educate parts of the government and help them see that we can handle this, that the you know, the shock that we'd have experience is not ontological or overly existential, and that we would be able to adapt. I mean, human beings have been able to adapt phenomenally well. You know, probably one of the biggest things in the last 3 millennia was the death of Jesus Christ. Like, well, how are we going to justify that? You know, we adapted, we made the story work, or we made the whatever, however you perceive, right? We're really good at evolving through change and trauma, and so we'll deal with this. But what we don't deal very well with is secrets over a long period of time. You know, that's almost like, you know, delaying truth is trauma in itself.
Yeah, well said. I totally agree with all that. I mean, Galileo experienced some of that, and most recently, you know, we you know, eventually humanity accepted, oh, there's space and planets and stars and the, you know, like, oh, we're on this round planet, and you know, blah blah blah, and then the microscopic revelation that, oh, there's this whole other world, you know, happening, you know, and oh shit, this is probably why we get sick. You know, there's viruses, bacteria, you know, nucleus cells, all this whole other world. So yeah, I agree. I think we can handle it just fine. And in my opinion, that's not up to anybody to decide whether we can handle it or not. Like, you know, like you said, the evading the truth or keeping the secrets is traumatic into itself, and that's a guarantee. So it's not a guarantee what would happen. And even if society didn't handle it perfectly right off the bat, we would evolve into handling it, in my opinion, just based off of everything else, especially when so many people think we're not alone. And it would be crazy to try to isolate ourselves and be like, no, we're alone. We'll always be alone. There's no one else out there. Like, what are we talking about? Like, eventually that will be an open world that we all accept and understand and interact with, potentially in an open basis, you know. So yeah, but that's a good idea. Maybe that's what the government needs, is to hear from some smart people to tell them, hey, we're going to be okay.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, y'all, we're going back in time to one of I think this is the very first abduction story ever told in the mainstream. And President Obama is making it's either a documentary or television series about this. It is the Betty and Barney Hill story. And I saw this very interesting interview with Betty Hill in her old age, that I hadn't seen before, talking about a very interesting experience, because their story isn't just one event, you know, one thing that happened. And I'll just play it, and then we can sort of, you know, chat about it here. All right, let me see. It's a vertical video, so it's really small, but just, you know, bear with us there. But good news is you can hear it good.
When we got up to the door, I was not going to go in, so I socked him.
You punched the entity?
Yeah. In fact, I put up such a battle that my dress is badly torn. And he said, you know, come on. All we want to do is some simple tests. And as soon as the tests are over, we'll take you back to your car and you'll be on your way.
Let's just go back to those type of entities. They were your classic alien, gray-shaped, cat-like. No, they weren't. Okay.
They're a form of human being.
They were a form of human being.
Right.
Did they have cat-like or Cheshire-like eyes?
They had larger eyes than ours, smaller nose, and smaller mouth. No protruding part of the ear and no hair. But they're people.
Nothing like these classic grays you see here, Whitley Street.
I don't know. I've never seen those. I don't know what they're talking about.
Sure, okay. There was a leader of...
Well, we gave them different names to identify him. Now, I don't know if he was a leader or the interpreter, but we called him the leader. And then there was the one who did the testing. We called him the examiner. There were 9 others who stayed out in the corridor, and we called them the crew members.
Very interesting. Socked them right in the face. You know, I bet she was hoping for a smooch, and that's not what came her way. But it's very, some might say, serendipitous. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of that story, Dan?
You know, what's so fascinating is, like, I spent literally 100 hours probably learning about the Betty and Barney Hill case, going through every archive, video, everything, to the point where I'm like waking up at night thinking about this freaking couple. And there I see a video that I've never seen before. I'm like, and that happens. I find that happen all the time. But I think it's just fascinating. I've done some posts recently about the case in general, and then a specific one about her interest in UFOs prior to this experience, where she's been interested in the phenomenon since she was a teenager, as her sister has, and they're really into it, you know, where they go sky watching and they look for UFOs. And now, does that mean none of this happened? No, but that combined with how susceptible and vulnerable the hypnotic regression approach is, and the position it puts someone in to bring about sort of memories or dreams that you might have had, or embed things that didn't really happen. I've become like really deeply skeptical about this case, and I'd love to be proven wrong. I just don't buy it. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. It's just 3 years after the drive to Indian Head and New Hampshire, they come back, and then they've got symptoms. They're struggling in their marriage and health. And then 3 years later, they're abducted. Then suddenly they have this story to explain what they saw in the sky. Do you know how often that happens? I see something in the sky, I can't explain it. It's traumatic, and I get dreams, I'm struggling, and then I get hypnosis, and then it provides this answer for me. And the answer is, maybe how my unconscious mind has tried to deal with it, and then that becomes true. So I think that's what happened here, but that's just my opinion.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think another fascinating aspect to this story is, this is in America during a time where race was a factor in America, and they were an interracial couple. And people often ask, did that have some sort of play into this? And it just made it it set it apart. It made it a very interesting case for other reasons that aren't extraterrestrial, if you will. But yeah, I honestly can't say I know a lot about this case. I kind of just know the surface points about it, but it's interesting nonetheless. And I look forward to this, whatever documentary or TV series that comes out about it. But I'm always hugely skeptical. And again, I'm no expert. I don't know anything. I'm an idiot, but I'm hugely skeptical of truth coming from hypnosis, right? People that are, I don't know. I just find that to be always an interesting thing, because I just think people also add into it, and they get told things, and I don't know. Doesn't mean it's not true, but yeah, I'm equally as skeptical, let's just say, about this. But I find them to be nice people, and it's definitely a fascinating story, and one of those scenarios again where we just may never know.
Fascinating parts of the story is that Obama is interested in it.
Yeah, I think it's the race thing. I think that's a good way to tell the story, right? They're dealing with race, civil rights, and then they have this quote, they're living an extraordinary life already and then have this extraordinary experience. And what does that mean? I mean, what we don't know is that how Obama and the team behind this are going to show that story, right? We don't, is it using it like, oh, they use this to deal with the trauma of race or what? But yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And speaking of Obama, and I'm sure I know you've discussed it on your shows, on your daily shows, but I think for the first time we really heard his interest in the phenomenon. He believes aliens to be, or knows them to be real. It wasn't about, oh, they're somewhere. No, they're here. And then he backtracked because of the backfire that he got. I truly believe that's how it was. Whatever Michael Shermer says is, oh no, he was talking to UAP about UAP. And I mean, I think if you look at it objectively, that's what it was.
Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Initially, when I heard it and I played the video, this is before the backtrack. I did suggest he could just be talking probability wise, statistically speaking, aliens are real. Because the question he's asked is, are aliens real? That's the very specific question he's asked. And he says, yeah, they're real. But I've never seen them. And I just assumed he meant probability wise, but at the same time, I didn't know. And then he went on to add extra info about Area 51 and underground bases and all of that, and a cover up from him if it's real. I can see both sides. I could see, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. Now I need to put out this post on Instagram, and half the people that saw the viral clip of him talking about it, will see the retraction, or maybe 10%, right? So most people will go away with it thinking just on those first comments that he made. And then, I guess I'd like more information of how those interviews are done. Did he already know that question was coming? Or was it a surprise question for him? I have to believe that if you're going to interview someone like Obama, the president, it's not off the cuff. He knows the questions are coming, but maybe not. It did.
Yeah. And then the
You're
other
right.
thing was, it's sort of like, but they're not at Area 51 implies that he knows. That would be the next step. Well, then he knows where they are because he knows where they're not. But I'm not going to go that far. I just think he believes in the phenomenon. I really believe, if I had to guess from a psychologist's perspective, he believes it. But maybe he doesn't believe the government has them in our possession, which is not an unreasonable belief. I mean, I'm not convinced that the government knows as much as we think they know. Maybe they're hiding their ignorance.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think the two are necessarily have to live together. So I agree. The phenomena can exist and the government has no clue or doesn't have what people claim they have. I totally agree with that. I separate the phenomena, unto itself, just because it's a worldwide phenomena going back thousands of years. So what does the U.S. government really? It's a small percentage of the story. So if it's not true from the U.S. government, it doesn't mean anything. Honestly, I think it chips away nothing. You know what I mean? So it's removing one cherry from the sundae. It doesn't.
Patrick, I haven't heard that before. I mean, of course, I know that it's been around forever, but in relating it to that argument of what the government knows or doesn't know, that just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, remember, Dan, stick around. I say a lot of awesome things. Okay, this is what I do. Yeah, and yeah.
Oh, it was rough.
Oh, and I've spent it all, so the next year is going to be horrible, y'all. But yeah, I tend to agree with your assessment. I think Obama does believe in it. He, like you said, he just may not agree that the government has anything to do with it, but I think he does believe in the phenomena. And what Trump's comments later on that, aboard Air Force One about Obama's comments were also interesting. He said classified stuff. He should have said that. That's where the whole declassified files came from, allegedly. I think the big conspiracy would be, this is a big conspiracy. Okay. I'm not saying this is true, nor do I even necessarily think it could be true, but it would be hilarious to find out that Obama and Trump worked together on that. Obama's like, okay, I'm going to go out, say this, you come out, come after me, and then we'll get the files out. We'll work on this together,
Yeah. That's bold and highly lofty, but I like it.
No one would believe it. That's why it kind of makes it the perfect.
I'll stop believing it.
Yeah. This is definitely the semi-dulce talking, but
nice.
That's okay. It's always the idea or person in a movie, right? If it's a mystery that you least expect, if it's done well, right? So there's no way it could be that guy, or there's no way it could be this. And that's why it makes it perfect. But at the same time, it's also what could make it ridiculous. But again, I'm not saying that that's true. Trump clearly doesn't like Obama, and Obama clearly doesn't like Trump. So whatever. We're getting some files. What do they mean?
Yeah, getting some files.
Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
It's probably the person we least expect that will have all the information. It'll be like Bernie Sanders knows it all. Like he comes out, he's got all the crafts and the files, and that'd be fine. But it's just not quite as sexy as other options.
Sure. Or Tiger King. We find out Tiger King's got actually the truth about the UFOs. All right. So look, let's go to some chat, Dan. Some different. Let's get the audience involved here.
I think my things died.
Okay. Oh, I can hear you.
Hold on. I may have to recycle out. I think I have to recycle out.
Okay, no problem. He looked great, by the way, there, didn't he? Video was great. All right, we'll go to a super chat, and then I don't have any other super chats, but this is the only one we got here. Lies on Hillary. Why change now? Teodoro Franco. I don't know what you mean by lies on Hillary. I don't know what that means exactly. So I'll let y'all comment on that. I'm not really sure what that means. Are you saying Hillary lied and now she's not lying, or I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, send your questions in. Let's get it going, and we'll do some chat. Did you do the song? Did I miss it? I don't know what that means. Heiser says, put questions for the guys in all caps. Yes, all caps. That would help for sure. Or throw in a super chat. It can be a cheap one. That definitely helps the most. All right. Trump didn't like getting shut out after the Jersey drone incident. Hillary lies constantly. Okay. Got you. Now I understand what you meant. And I hope I said your name right. Teodoro. Wait. That sounds like Teodoro. Got to be careful there. Well, to me, all politicians lied. Mr. Franco, I think all politicians, hard to trust. Red, blue, left, right, up, down. Do the hokey pokey. All the lies are all around, in my opinion. That's just my experience. And that's any country I've lived in. I've lived in 3 different countries. In every country, it feels like, at the end of the day, you can't trust any of them. It doesn't matter what side. No side, some side.
Sorry, I had to recycle my system here, but it's good now.
Wow, you came in great now.
I know. I think I just needed to actually turn off my phone and restart it.
Okay, well, there we go. We got, whatever you did. All right, let's go to this question here, Dan. I'll let you answer this first here. Have you ever done CE5?
I have not done CE5, not in a structured way. I've tried it, after a lot of alcoholic beverages one night, felt I was spiritually attuned, and really I was just on the verge of passing out. But I'm interested in it. And up for, getting together and trying it out with or without alcohol.
Yeah. What an honest answer. I love that so much, man. What an honest answer. I really, really like that.
Have you done it? Didn't you do it a part of your documentary?
Well, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I made a whole documentary about called Psionics, which is coming out this summer.
Of course. Right.
Yeah, I did it a lot, and I followed around people that did it a lot. For sure. It's known by many things. All right, Ben the Junior Porter, or Ben the J.R. Porter. I don't know. Anyway, Ben, Patrick, have you heard of the I've heard of this, but how do you say that? Pentrick incident? I'm not even sure how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Pentrarch?
Pentouch, maybe?
Penturch. That sounds
something like that.
That probably sounds more right. I have heard of it. I can't say I know a ton about it. I've never done like a deep dive on it. I probably know just about as much as anybody, just surface level. Do you know anything about this one, Dan?
No, I'm just looking it up now because I didn't. But I can read a little here. I mean, it's a little one paragraph.
Sure.
Incident took place February 26th, 2016 in Penturch, Wales, is a notable event in UFO lore. Witnesses reported a large pyramid-shaped object moving silently in the sky, accompanied by military aircraft and unusual lights. The incident has been the subject of various documentaries and discussions, with some claiming it was a part of a classified military response to an extraterrestrial presence. The UK Ministry of Defence has not confirmed any unusual activity and attributes military flights to routine training. The event has sparked debates among UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike, with some viewing it as strong evidence of ET contact and a government cover-up, while others suggest it could be a mix of misidentified military exercises and psychological projection or fabrication.
Okay.
So a pyramid-shaped object moving silently in the sky.
Yeah.
A common story. I don't know the sort of evidence of those. Their radar evidence is their, what are the eyewitness accounts like? That's what would be interesting to go into.
Sure. Yeah. There's some eyewitnesses to this that have come out. It's been a minute since I really dug into it, but yeah, for sure. Always something to consider here.
Make a video on.
Yeah, if there's something to make of it, yeah, absolutely. All right.
I was talking about me, no offense, but yeah.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you. Yeah, absolutely. How about it? I'm sure there's some cool, interview clip or something to put up. Patrick, have you experienced an astral projection sleep paralysis? I have not. That has not happened to me. I do lucid dream. I have very vivid dreams. I can control what happens in them. I can wake up and then go back to sleep and get right back into where I was, and I know I'm dreaming. And I can have fun in my dreams because of that. Because
can you control the story?
Yeah.
Control what happens?
Sort of. A little bit of both. Like, things happen that just happen, but I can also control like how I respond to it, or does it make sense? But it's kind of a mix of things happening to me and things I can control, like a video game, right? Like you can control certain aspects, but things are happening to you. So it's kind of a mix.
Cool.
All right, we got a lot of questions. I'm just going to kind of pump through some of these, Dan.
Yeah.
There's an interview from the 1950s with George Van Tassel. You should check it out. That might be a cool thing for you, Dan. I know you like vintage clips and stuff like that. Which is why I love seeing what you post. I love all the vintage stuff you put up.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Which is really cool. Yeah. It's some of my favorite stuff, to be honest with you. Is the vintage stuff. George Van Tassel. Thoughts of the psionic assets we've seen coming forward? Um,
I'll leave that to your expertise, Patrick.
I mean, I'm by no means an expert, but I have a lot of experience with this in that sense. I don't know. You know, to be honest with you, I'm still very skeptical of people who claim to have super abilities. One thing is something happens to you and you talk about it. Another thing is you're like, I got control of this thing and I can do these special things that you don't have. Right? They talk to me. They come through me. They, you know, and some people are different about it. Some people think anyone can do this, right? Psionic, like it's open to everyone. It's really easy. And then from there, people have different protocols you have to follow. You got to do it this way, and you got to have this mindset. But not everyone agrees on that, and everyone's got different. No, you don't have to worry about that, or no, you don't have to think about that. But no, you do. You know, so it's kind of all over the place. But then there's people like, not everyone can do it. And I'm one of the few that can. And I've been trained and I was in a secret base military and this and that, you know. So, I mean, just Skywatcher, for instance, you know, Skywatcher is made up of a lot of different people who don't believe in psionics at all, actually. There are skeptics on the Skywatcher team that don't believe the psionic assets have anything to do with it. And it's kind of, there's multiple camps. There's people that want to try tech and machinery to do it. And other people are like, no, we got these people that can do stuff with their mind. That can, and there's people like, dude, that's bullshit. On the Skywatcher team, right? They kind of, nobody agrees, which I think is a fair approach, trying different tactics and, you know, seeing what happens. And Skywatcher pretty much, they dropped all their psionic assets.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they all left.
So what does that tell you about it, if anything?
Well, I think when you first hear that, you may think, oh, well, then it must be bullshit. But then you find out what Skywatcher's doing now, which is just looking at a bunch of data. So maybe they're just, it's like, well, we're not out in the field. And clearly psionic assets are for field operations, right? So it sounds like they just cut staff down, not because it wasn't true. It just, well, we got all the data we need, and now we just need to look at that data.
I mean, it could be that, right? It could be we've got sufficient data to prove our hypothesis, or the data was insufficient or totally challenged the hypothesis, so we're ditching it. You know, it could be either of those two. We don't know.
I agree. It could be either of those two. But what I like about psionic, period, just psionics, period, is, in my opinion, based on my experience, you don't need anybody to do it. You don't need any special skills. You don't need to pay any money. You don't need any of that. You can just go out in your backyard by yourself or with friends and give it a go. And I like that. I think it's accessible to anyone and everyone. And if you're skeptical about it or you believe in it, go do it. You don't need it. You know what I mean? You just go for it. And that's what I say. I say go for it.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Oh, absolutely. Just
have
like anything.
Just try it, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you heard about the ET Embassy? Is that a new TV show coming out on Hulu? I have not heard about
There's
this.
an embassy somewhere in the world to represent ETs, you know, just like we have an embassy. That's interesting. I haven't.
No, I haven't. Maybe that's part of the Galactic Federation. I met some of those guys at Contact. Did you meet them at Contact last year? Did you meet any of them?
Oh yeah. We spent a lot of we hung out a little short period of time. Yeah. They wanted me to get in uniform. I was a little uncomfortable, so I clung on to you for 3 days. It's like,
oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny. When I first arrived at Contact, I remember walking in and looking down in the lobby. I thought they were cops. I thought it was security for the event initially. That's literally what I thought. And then once I walked down and got a little closer, I was like, oh, okay,
and they were very nice and harmless. They're not like
super nice,
imposing their views on you. It's just like they're into. It's like going to a Star Trek thing, or you know, they're into
100%. In fact, an interview with one of the young ladies who's part of Galactic Federation is in my documentary. I interviewed her, and she's in the documentary. Super sweet. They were super sweet, open to just talking about it. no, not pushy at all. So yeah, I totally, they teach their own. Guys, do you think the movie Disclosure Day by Steven Spielberg could be linked to some wider process to help people from all over the world being more ready for actual event? What do you think? I don't, me personally.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on what disclosure is. Are they going to disclose that, we're going to be invaded? Are we going to disclose that it just exists? Or what are the intentions? We don't even know what the intentions are of the movie, other than it's disclosure all at once for everyone all at the same time, and they're communicating, through different mechanisms. We don't know what they're communicating. Spielberg hasn't really shared that. So yeah, I don't think it's some means or methods for that, or could be. But it could be just generally, in an undeliberate way, a way to decondition or desensitize us to the topic, or it could just be about, hey, it's Hollywood, it's entertainment, people making money and having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like your idea better that you mentioned earlier in the stream, which is to get mental health professionals, psychologists. I don't know what the right terms are, but or right, getting working with the government to help them understand this is okay to talk about, and people can accept this truth. And I like that much better than let's get Steven Spielberg to make another E.T. movie, and that will help people come. Most people are gonna think it's just a movie, so it kind of, I feel like it'd be a waste. But maybe there's something to the general idea of deconditioning, just the overall topic, right, of making it okay to consider or talk about. So, maybe it's a mix.
Whatever your beliefs or background, you will find a way to integrate it into your cognitive worldview, the schema that you have of your life and your future, and what's meaning for you, and how you define meaning in the world. You will integrate it. That's human nature. That's our survival instincts. So
yeah,
that's what the government needs to be convinced of.
Love it. Yeah, totally agree. Khan, what's up, Khan? This is Kostas Limneios, my Greek friend here, who designed the Psionics documentary movie poster. Thank you so much, Khan. He's an amazing graphic designer and just a great dude overall. So, Khan, what's up, brother? Says, hey, Pat and fellow veterans, I don't know how I feel about getting disclosure solely because Trump doesn't want to admit that he went to that island. Yeah, that is a theory. Okay. And I can't say I don't disagree with it. We don't know, but some people are saying that that's a distraction from the Epstein files and maybe his involvement with it. And I don't think you can throw that out as like, no, that's impossible. I'm not saying it's true, but I don't think you can throw it out. But I think we could do both. We could get disclosure however it comes, even if it's messy, and still go after people that did horrific things on that island. I think we could, and ideally we would do both, right? It's like, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that, Dan?
Yeah, I nothing to add.
Yeah, right on. Great Comic Con. Okay, Teodoro again, Teodoro. Hope I'm saying that right, brother. Thoughts on the Sphere Network and Patrick Jackson? Well, I've interviewed Patrick Jackson about the Sphere Network, so search the vetted YouTube channel for that interview. I did that a while ago. I'm one of the OGs that looked into this when that happened. And it's an interesting theory. I don't know how much you know, Dan, but it's not just about UFOs and spheres with Patrick Jackson. He basically said he had an answer to all the phenomena that exist: ghosts, poltergeist, the angels, right? Like all the Bigfoot, Loch Ness, everything. He had an answer for it, and it all comes to one thing, and it all fit nicely and puzzle. That's the only thing okay, but that's the only thing where I'm like, you got an answer for everything, with this. Yeah. But it was interesting nonetheless, and he clearly has done some work and effort that he's putting in to try to figure this out, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, unified theory of the phenomenon. That's exciting. If it's
Yeah,
real.
essentially
Yeah,
that's
interesting.
it. I think one of the funnest things he said to me that I couldn't stop laughing was that Bigfoot were special forces of aliens. So they were special forces, and aliens would send down Bigfoot to rescue aliens that had crashed, and they would send them. They're basically the SEAL team of aliens. Were Bigfoot, and I just thought that was such a fun idea.
Yeah,
You know?
they're conspicuous. I tell you, they've been successfully in hiding for a long time and getting away with it. Probably just like the SEALs. I love it.
Yeah. Hey, never know. Never know.
Yeah.
We got a is it Natalie or Natalie? Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. Natalie. Any thoughts about Michael Shermer? Dan, do you know who Michael Shermer is?
Oh yeah. No,
yeah.
Not personally, but
yeah, you know of him. Yeah, of course.
Same arguments for 25 years. Just doesn't budge.
Just doesn't budge. Yeah, he was just on Piers Morgan's show with Jesse Michaels and Jeremy Corbell, although Jeremy Corbell did not stick around for the debate. I did make a video about this if you want to check it out. There's some highlights in there. And I agreed with some of the things Michael said, to be honest with you. And I do agree with some of the stuff he said. But, you know, with that said, just like anybody, it's like, you know, I don't agree with everybody about everything. But he did put out a tweet that wasn't in that debate that I pointed out in my video too, because he's like, no scientist thinks aliens are on planet Earth. None of them. None. I'm just like, well, that's just not true. Like, there are a lot of scientists who think we're not alone on this planet. You may think they're bullshit or it's full of shit, or I'm not saying it's true, but to say no scientist thinks that, I mean, that's literally, I'm like, that's just not true. There's a lot of scientists. You may think they're crazy, but they're still saying it. And there may be in the few, but there are scientists that think that.
I mean, I was a scientist working as a professor. Before my encounter, I would say I was as skeptical as Michael Shermer. I mean, I did not take the topic seriously at all. Then I had the encounter, it changed everything. And that will happen. You know, everyone's one encounter away from being a full-on believer. That's my stance on it. So, but I get it. If they haven't experienced it, why would they believe that something like that exists? That's why you have to kind of approach it, I think, for people who haven't had that experience from a scientific, you know, vantage point and looking at the data that does exist, the radar data and the camera sensor data and, you know, all that, because otherwise it's just too conceptual.
Yeah. No, good point. Look, you're only one good wave away from being a surfer. I get it. We're gonna go 15 more minutes, y'all, and then we're gonna close out. So just to give y'all a ETA here. All right, we got more super chats here. This is from Anunwin. Hope I'm saying that right. Do you think there are any UAP UFO bases, ancient ruins, or craft under Antarctica? What have you researched or your theories? Antarctica is interesting, and then Ross Coulthard said in a recent interview that if he had all the resources in the world, right, and time and everything, that's the one place he would want to look into and want answers for, would be Antarctica. So, you know, I'm interested. Heard a lot of theories about Antarctica, to be honest with you. There's Eric Hecker is the most recent sort of quote whistleblower about Antarctica. But yeah, I like the idea of ancient ruins that are fit into this phenomena. I like that idea a lot.
I think if there is a base, it's probably off the coast of Puerto Rico, and I actually have the coordinates that I put together. This is from a lot of research, reading Richard Dillon's USO book, cover to cover, really researching each case. And I think if there is data to support its location. I think it's about 50 miles off the coast of Puerto Rico, and I have the coordinates in a post on my site, but I can post it on your site, Patrick, or find a way to share it if people are interested. But there's real data, empirical data to support that based on sightings and radar data.
Yeah, I remember interviewing Richard Dolan about the site
Yep.
you're talking about in Puerto Rico. And it's very interesting for sure. He's done so much research about that. And people also talk about off the coast of Southern California, Catalina, that area, which is very near where the Nimitz incident happened. But even before that, or aside from the Nimitz, there's a lot of theories and stories about that area. Puerto Rico, also the Bahamas, and yeah. So it's, and what was it? The Black Sea, maybe. I think Richard Dolan talked about too. I want to say near Russia.
Yeah, he gave like 5 locations. I mean, the real question is what do those locations share in common? Is it just a place to hide, or is there some geological phenomenon or some resource that they can gain from those areas of the world?
What if we find out there's a Popeye's chicken by all of them?
Yeah,
and we just know they love fried chicken. Yeah,
they do, and they always have.
And so do I. And we can ride that harmony together. Sarah Andrade, thank you for the super sticker. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher your name. Thank you so much, Sarah. Android Paranormal. Android is the man. Good to have you here, Android. Do y'all think it's fair to call UFOs that have been confirmed to do gravity-defying moves, Tic Tac, as NHI, not aliens? If not, what else could it be? This is interesting because Android and I I don't want to say debate, but we went back and forth in my open mic Discord recently. Android is very cool to talk to. That's what I like about Android. We could just, you know what I mean? Like a friend that you just kind of go back on. And, it's so cool. And we had kind of this is part of our conversation. So I'll let you answer this, Dan. What do you think of that?
So yes, they've been confirmed to do gravity defying moves. Is there really the argument about whether we call them NHI or aliens, and what else could they be? I mean, that's really the question. Sure. I mean, aliens is just a word to describe something that is foreign, that we don't understand. Non-human intelligence, I think, is the most appropriate way to describe the phenomenon, in that it's not human. That's all we kind of know. But is it spiritual? And then even if it's spiritual, it's still non-human. So that's still helpful and an entity. The question is where does it come from? I think in some ways, because then it's sort of like not from here, so it's not earthly. I think there's some validity to an argument that says they've always been here, and that it's here. I mean, it takes out the whole travel component and how vast the distances are. What were some of the conclusions you guys came up to, or if not conclusions, what were you debating?
Well, I was debating the argument that if we're saying they're unidentified, but then we're identifying them, that doesn't make sense to me. And the process of elimination being confirmation. Well, we know it's not China. We know it's not right. But first of all, I don't see how you can prove that. You may be 99% sure, but it's not absolute, and it's not a confirmation. I think NHI alien is a possibility because you're saying it's unidentified. And then confirming that it does gravity-defying moves, I think that's also perception. It seems like it's performing these things, but what tests have been done or replicated to confirm that they were, quote, gravity-defying moves, or outside of physics as we know it, or, all these different, breaking the laws of physics. We hear these things. I think it stays, I just think it should be talked about in theory and speculation rather than confirmation or absolutism. That was my whole point about it, because you're also taking an assumption and then making an assumption based off of that, right? Because you're assuming it made gravity-defying moves. Now you're assuming it's alien, right? It's just an assumption built off another assumption. Is an inception of assumptions,
right? But if there's data to support the, reassumptions or changing those assumptions to something different, like I think if you look at, Mick West research has not really challenged that argument that is instant acceleration from that object that Corbell released. I've gone through all of those arguments between those guys, you know, and I really, Mick West has convinced me on a lot of cases, majority of them, but not that one. So I believe that there was instant acceleration. Now that does imply that, okay, it's not human made. I don't believe it's something that we've created. I don't think that just doesn't make rational sense that we can do that at this point. Maybe 500 years from now. So what does that leave us? It's got to be non-human at that point, right? If we didn't make it, it's non-human that made it. Now, could it be some other phenomenon, like some ghostly phenomenon? And so interestingly, before 2017, I bet there were very few people in the audience who ever thought to put together poltergeists and ghosts in with the UFO phenomenon. The first time I heard about it was in that, I guess not even in that article, it was ORSAP when that came out. And they were the folks that to really say, hey, there's a connection or a link here.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would push back on is, I hear what you're saying, but the definition of instant acceleration, right? What exactly are we saying? And we have no idea what all of humanity is capable of. We don't know what every government is doing. We don't know what secret black projects there are. We don't know what capabilities really are entirely. Again, we may be 99%.
But that could be
certain.
viewed as conspiratorial as well. So, okay, we don't know. So that means, you know, maybe the government has found a way to, transcend gravity and travel at light speed. Yeah, that's possible. But
we also don't know if that's what's happening, that they're traveling at that speed, right? Like, it's
yeah, we don't know.
Assumed.
Totally.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying all possibilities are open.
Yeah, but let's say like science and physics determined, or the sensors that we have determined that object was accelerating at a rate instantaneously, whatever that would be, or X miles per hour, and that we have never been able to achieve those speeds, and it would have to be something obviously off the charts. But let's say it did, and data can prove that. If we're given the data, you would feel comfortable saying that it's probably not human, right? It's just you don't have the data to convince you.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically speaking, which I'm fine with, but the problem is most people don't say it hypothetically. So yes, if we're now in a hypothetical world where that has been 100% confirmed and that thing is moving at a speed that just seems absolutely crazy, I would definitely feel more comfortable to say the probability is that's something we don't have, no human has made, so where is it coming from? Yeah, absolutely. But again, that's in hypothetical land, and I'm happy to play in the sandbox of the hypothetical.
Or just play in the sandbox where they're debating the data, so you can actually really look
100%,
at science.
100%.
Because Marek van Rennenkamp has a really strong argument. I mean, if you go through his argument for instant acceleration and some of the other anomalies of this object, it's a really strong argument, and Mick West isn't really winning that battle.
Sure. Yeah, I watched the whole weaponized. I made a video.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth on X as well on it, but I know you don't want to get.
No, they'll always go back and forth on that stuff, and I just think they're both one person. The same way I don't take Mick West as the Bible, I don't take Merrick as the Bible. I need more than that. But it is compelling. They make compelling arguments either way, and I'm fine with that. At the end of the day, I'm not an expert. I'm going to need a sort of scientific academic consensus to sort of accept it, because I don't know either way. But yeah, I agree. He's made some compelling arguments about it. But again, it's still in the argument phase. And so to jump from, we're still arguing about this, to this has been confirmed as alien. Well, wait a second. We haven't even.
Yeah, and they're not jumping there. Really, they're based on the data that we have. It's showing it looks like it's anomalous, and that what we're seeing is actually happening in reality. And really, with data, we would like to kind of prove or disprove that. That's kind of the position we all end up being in.
Absolutely, and I'm totally fine with that. And
yeah, totally.
I support that investigation for sure. Slycraft 00000 says Dr. Zadagas fails to mention his own 2022 study, A Tear in the Sky, during his interview in Ross Coulthart's Underwater UFOs for the same area. Well, I don't know anything. I know about the Tear in the Sky document, but I don't know about the Ross Coulthart interview.
So Dr. Zagagas is, I think it's spelt wrong, but yeah, he's featured in that. Does talk about USOs and yeah, the underwater base in. Yeah, I sort of know what he's referring to, but not enough to make an full comment.
I don't know the Ross Coulthart underwater UFOs video. Like, I don't know what that's referring to.
Oh, yeah, I think it's just that there's a belief that it's out there in the Catalina area. I believe
so
that's
we were
what it was
talking
about.
before.
Because
Sure.
exactly.
Sure. Got it. Okay. Well, fair enough. Slycraft, I'm sorry. I guess he's more making a statement anyway, so he's not even asking us a question. So
Yeah.
okay, great. For those that are aware, there you go. There's that. All right, guys, we got 3 minutes. This is the last question here. Blade Runner, what if we are the skin jobs? I don't know. Yeah.
Next.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. I think it's a possibility. Scary. Don't know how I actually feel about that. But interesting lore nonetheless. Well, look, y'all, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you to everyone that has commented, stuck around, hung out with Dan and I. This was a lot of fun. I feel like it flew by, to be honest with you. I think having all the videos and topic to kind of bounce off of, to go through, was really good. And I think I'll kind of, keep the same approach, man. But thank you, Dan, for coming on. Why don't you just let people know how they can stay, in contact with you or follow
I
you?
appreciate that. Yeah, so it's UAP Doctor. Dr. Dan is what I'm known as, but I just like to create content related to the phenomenon, looking into history, trying to make connections. I share a lot of the same interests that other folks have. I don't come in with any sort of deep connections in the field, but I have some sort of experience. I have had a personal encounter that I've talked about on the show with Patrick, and as a psychologist, I really find the connection between the phenomenon and psychology, from the psychological experience of it to also how we cope with it, and also how it links to trauma with disclosure. These are all fascinating topics for me, and that I love to talk about on X, which is my primary platform. I also have a YouTube channel that I've just started, which I'll share. I've only got, I think, like 12 followers or subscribers right now. I'm not doing this this is just a hobby of mine, but it's UAP Doc Films, and it's mostly the stuff that I put on X. So they're just videos that I've created, and I edit them in a certain way to kind of prove or disprove a hypothesis that I'm working with at the time, or a question that I feel I personally have, or that maybe the community has. So that's kind of the theme. So when you watch it, it's more than just, okay, what's the story? Underneath, there is a psychological message with every movie that I post. And it's cool because some people kind of pick up on that in their in the comments.
Love that.
Yeah.
Look at that. You're already getting comments.
There you go. Yeah, getting a few comments.
That takes a while. I'm being real. That takes, I know, trust me, that can take a while. So great. Absolutely, y'all. Look, follow Dr. Dan on X. Check out his YouTube channel. I did put the link to his X account in the description, so it can make it real easy. Just click the link and you'll be able to follow his account on YouTube. I think you're gonna have to search that. But it should be easy to find. And
just follow me on X, and then you'll see on my page there's a link to that. But appreciate it.
Perfect. Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate you taking the time, man. This was a lot of fun. And again, thank you to everyone that hung out with us. We'll see you guys on the next live stream. I got another video coming out, y'all, about the Majestic 12 documents. I've been doing a deep dive for a couple days. Some new information has come out, and I think you're going to find my video quite interesting. So that'll be soon. But look, I'm going to end the stream with the song that I start with. Okay, so Dan, if you want to you can bounce out after, because it's like a 4-minute song, so don't worry about hanging out.
Yeah, I want to listen to it.
Oh yeah, right on. Yeah, of course, absolutely. Everyone knows the tune. So thank you to Heiser and Jess for modding the chat and hanging out. Really appreciate it. And again, as I always say, every day's a gift, y'all.
No one likes this guy named Patrick. He's kind of pathetic, so tragic. Makes the most with the little that he has. Chasing aliens and UFOs. He lost his marbles, everyone knows. Makes the most with the little that he has. Like a paper bag, he won't last. Some say he's sensational, others say he's delusional, but most agree he fucking sucks. Some say he's not the sharpest tool, others say he's just a tool, but most agree he fucking sucks. He goddamn for sure fucking sucks. No one likes this guy named Patrick. Super pathetic, dramatic, kinda believes in magic. Magic makes the most with the little that he has. Chasing aliens and UFOs. What's next? The moon is a hoax. Well, I kinda believe in that one myself. Anyway, back to the song. Makes the most with the little that he has. Like a paper bag, he won't last, but most agree he fucking sucks. Some say he's sensational, others say he's delusional, but most agree he fucking sucks. Some say he's not the sharpest tool, others say he's just a tool, but most agree he fucking sucks. He goddamn for sure fucking sucks.